Bonjour les filles. Ça va bien? How are you guys today? Good. Vous avez hâte de faire l'atelier?
Ouais.
I don't like to say you have kinky hair because I find like it's saying something negative. I rather say I have tight curl pattern. Je dis jamais j'ai les cheveux durs. On n'a pas les cheveux durs. Du bois, c'est dur. Nos cheveux sont juste frisés serrés. Faut toujours qu'on dise des choses à propos de nous qui sont positifs, right? We're supposed to empower each other. So we never say to a girl, oh, your hair is hard, or your hair is kinky. We just say, you know what? Your hair has a tighter curl pattern, but we can do something beautiful with it, okay? Toujours. So my name is Nancy Falaise, and I grew up just hating my hair. I wasn't accepted as a biracial girl in my high school, and with my afro, I got teased all the time. As soon as my mom gave me the okay, I wanted to straighten my hair. I wish someone like me would have taught me when I was younger. When I had cancer and I lost all my hair, I felt really, really, really unattractive. But when my hair grew back, I understood that I don't need to have straight hair to be beautiful, that my curly hair is fantastic.
Carroll is a very special man. He's a gay father who had a baby the new fashioned way through artificial insemination. And now he's a brand new author of a book to make every little girl of color feel like a queen.
About a couple years ago, I ended up writing a poem. I've dedicated this now book to young girls, young women, and grown women, particularly in communities of color. The message is really simple. Call the book My Dear Queen.
Tell me about the message in this book.
I was inspired to write this actually through having a conversation with my sister. We were just, having brother-sister talk, and she was telling me to her when I was a little boy about her hair, and just, kind of walking me through her hair journey. And so My Dear Queen was born.
Good morning and welcome everyone. Welcome to Aviva Family and Children Services, My Dear Queen Symposium. I'm Kim Peterson. I am the Vice President of Change Management at Aviva. And I wanted to just give you all a little bit of information about the services that we offer. Aviva has been in the Los Angeles community serving for over 100 years, which is incredible in this day and age. We offer 4 areas of service: our crisis intervention, our mental health services, our foster and adoptions, and our newest program is supportive housing for women and children that are experiencing homelessness. We are super excited to bring this symposium to you here today. And I wanted to thank the Book Foundation and Create Now for supporting us to create this and make this happen. I also want to give a extra special thank you to Laurel Scott, who is a member of Aviva's Associate Board of Professionals, for introducing us to Lawrence and helping us with the tech side and many other parts of this symposium. So Laurel brought Lawrence to Aviva, and I was so excited to meet him because as a multiracial woman, I have had my own hair journey. It was really difficult for me growing up with a mom who had really long, beautiful, straight hair, but had no idea what to do with my curly locks. There was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of like ripping out of knots and a lot of crying. And when I grew up, there wasn't a lot of support with products or with books or even in the beauty community to help my mom with my hair. And so my personal journey, which I am still on and, has been really challenging. So to meet Lawrence and to meet all of our panelists today have been amazing. And I really wish they had been around when I was younger, but I'm so grateful that they are here today and that they can share their expertise and their journey with all of us today. I want to introduce our moderator for today's symposium, Lawrence Carroll, who is the author of My Dear Queen. He's also a media personality and publicist. Hi, Lawrence. He has spent a lot of time, working with youth and mentoring them in various organizations throughout the Los Angeles community. He is the first recipient of the Free Arts Youth Mentor of the Year Award and was featured in Los Angeles's LGBT Center's Vanguard magazine, It Takes Two series as a highlighted role model. He is a father, he is a brother, a son, and he has really used the art of media as a form of storytelling in both, his professional and personal endeavors. And I'm so excited for him to share his special poem with all of us today.
Kim, that was quite the introduction. And thank you for sharing your hair journey. As long as we've been working on this conversation, if you will, this symposium, I think that's the first time I've heard you share that part of yourself. And I'm moved to tears because that's just what happens when I hear these hair journeys. I'm not going to share my hair journey today. I'm actually going to share my journey about the book and how I wrote My Dear Queen, which came from the first hair journey conversation I ever had, which was with my sister. I can't do her story justice, but I can at least say that from what I remember after my sister Donnell telling me just about the ups and downs and the struggles that she had with her hair, that I felt guilty at first, just for my part in her hair journey. As I stated in the video with NBC California Live, that I had a moment of teasing her throughout the years with all the different hairstyles that she had. I can admit that I wasn't the nicest younger brother. But I can also remember feeling like I needed to respond and to let her know that I heard what she had to say and I'm listening. And My Dear Queen was my response to her hair journey. Fast forward a little bit, I ended up meeting the illustrator, Yetunde Sapp. And when I took a look at her work, I said, "Excuse me, can you help me bring this poem to life?" It's one thing to read something and to just read it. It's another thing to visually see something. So we talk about media and representation and all those things. It was just a perfect combination, if you will. It was really kismet for me to meet Yetunde, see her work, and it just naturally felt like it was a flow. Once when she, kind of put her blessing on it, I reached out to one of our panelists, Joy Donnell, and she's also a mentor of mine. And I asked her to help creative direct the book and to really put it all together. So the three of us collectively, had something to do with the magic that we see in My Dear Queen, which, like I said, is the response that I wrote to my sister, and ultimately to every Black and brown girl and woman that has similar hair journeys. So for those who are watching, thank you all for joining today. Thank you in advance to the panelists that will share their hair journeys in a bit. Kim will go ahead and introduce them. But if you haven't picked up a copy of My Dear Queen, you can do so on Amazon. If you already have one, I'm about to do a reading so you can read along. But here it is, My Dear Queen. And I'm just going to jump into it. So, My Dear Queen, your hair is a crown unlike any other. A crown bestowed to you by your father and mother. Your hair is like magic. It can change every day. Your hair is a crown worn so many different ways. You can wear your crown curly, or you can wear your crown straight. You can wear your crown low, or wear it in braids. You can wear your crown dreaded, or wear your crown in a fro. I like this page. Your crown turns heads everywhere that you go. Your crown is not less than or inferior to others. You're a queen with beautiful hair, just like your mother. So wear your crown proudly atop your beautiful head. Your hair is a symbol of royalty, no matter what anyone says. And My Dear Queen. So it's a short poem, gets straight to the point. Your hair is your crown. It is like magic, Black girl magic, brown girl magic, hair magic, if you will. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation today because we have 4 very unique, beautiful panelists that have very magical stories and hair journeys to share with us today. So Kim, I'll let you introduce them and then we will go ahead and dive into this discussion.
Yes, Lawrence, thank you for reading that. Hearing you read it was beautiful, and I started having tears. So thank you for sharing that with us. To start with, I want to introduce Nancy Falaise. Nancy Falaise is a hair salon, an academy, a line of hair products, and a woman who has been working with curly and wavy hair from North America to Europe for almost 25 years. As you saw in her video, she is recovering from breast cancer and rediscovered her curls after losing them as a result of her treatment. Her personal mission is to offer all people with textured hair from curly to coily to wavy, services, training, advice, and products that enhance natural beauty to its full potential. We are so honored to have Nancy here today because she is joining us from Tunisia, where she is opening today her grand opening of her newest salon, the Pineapple Salon. So she's in a completely different part of the world. And, thank you for taking time out of your grand opening to join us. Next,
my pleasure.
Glad to have you here. Next, I'd like to introduce Evita Herron. She is a multi-ethnic freelance writer and founder of the lifestyle blog Curly Vita, which if you haven't checked out, I highly recommend. She is also the author of a children's book, and she is a proud wife and a mother. She began writing short stories and poems when she was a junior in high school. She's been writing professionally for over 10 years, and she has experience in the higher education sector. And I believe we will put links to her blog, her Instagram, and to her book. So everybody has that available. Thank you for joining us, Evita. And she's joining us from New Jersey. So yeah. Coast to coast, country to country. Next, I'm excited to introduce to you all Jasai Madden. Jasai Madden is the owner, creator, and CEO of Aleo Waist Beads. She's also an author and mindfulness facilitator, and she also used to be an employee at Aviva, so I know her personally. She was initially involved with Aviva through her experience of professionally braiding hair since she was 10 years old. And so she helped us when we ran a residential for teenage girls to make sure that they were celebrating their crowns in the best way possible. Jasai is also a certified Kundalini yoga instructor and author of The New Fast Girls. And like I mentioned, she now is the CEO of LAUSD, which you can also find on the internet. And she uses those to keep us connected to our core and keep us mindful. So welcome, Jasai. We see all those beautiful waist beads behind her. And then last but not least, I'd like to introduce Joy Donnell. And as Lauren said, she was My Dear Queen's creative director. So we're very excited to have her. She's also a published author and media entrepreneur that dedicates her life to creating media that increases humanity. Her book, Beyond Brand, expands the idea of our power, inner joy, and media outreach to build a cultural legacy you can live in real time as well as leave behind. She is the chief visionary of Superjoy Media and co-founder of the Center for Intersectional Media and Entertainment. She speaks internationally about branding, media, and entrepreneurship best practices, and believes in owning your power, your image, your voice, your narrative, and your intentions. So welcome to all of our panel members. We're so excited to have you here. And Lawrence, please begin the conversation.
Sure. Thanks for introducing everybody. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you. How I like to start off this conversation is to just have each of you walk us through your hair journeys, the ups and the downs. What was it like? The highs and the lows, the good and the bad. So, you know, that's just how we're just going to kind of break the ice. And Nancy, if you will, if you don't mind, we'll start with you. And if you can just tell us a little bit about your hair journey, let's go.
Well, my journey, I'm biracial. My mom was French Canadian and my dad is Haitian. So I grew up in a time and in a country where, especially in the time, if Montreal now is very diverse, but, you know, rewind quite a few years ago without going in specific details, but a while back, you know, I was mostly the only biracial girl in my school. And I hated school. Not only did I hate school, I hated me. I hated everything that was me, specifically my hair, because it just made me stand out so much. And at that time, when you're young, you just kind of want to blend in as much as possible. At least I did, or I thought I did. And it just wasn't happening. So it was, you know, the oil, I either wanted to pull my hair back as tight as possible so that I could hide it, or I wanted to have it straight. And it gave me trauma as a young girl because it made me not like who I was and not embrace my Afro roots. And I had breast cancer 8 years ago, and it just changed my life. I mean, I fell in love with my roots before breast cancer, clearly, but I didn't fall in love with the roots of my hair before breast cancer, though. I really didn't. I've been comfortable with being biracial, and have fallen in love with my Haitian roots a long time ago, but I didn't like my hair. I don't know why. I just couldn't understand why I couldn't have straight hair. I wanted to have straight hair. Just like Kim, my mom was also white, and she had this long hair that just, you know, if the wind blew, her hair moved, and mine just was just like, it didn't do what my mom's hair did. And I think that for our moms, for most of us, is our first role model. You know, this is who you see. She gets ready. She does her hair. She does her makeup. And you want to be like mom. And I didn't have that mom that looked like me. So after breast cancer, when my hair grew back, it's like I fell in love with everything. Not only myself, but my hair. Because first of all, I was so happy to have hair. When you go from having nothing, no hair, no lashes, no nothing, no eyebrows, and then all of a sudden something comes back, I was just so happy that I had something coming. And then I realized that there was so many wonderful things about my curls, because like I saw them grow and change and enhance, and my crown just came together, and I was like, oh my God, I love my hair. Like, how come I didn't love my hair all this time? Why did I put my hair through so much and it's so wonderful? And it just, once I started accepting myself, God made the way, really. And I often say, and I really believe that cancer was the best, worst thing that's happened to me. It was the worst thing because it was a difficult time, but it was the best thing because it gave me my time to shine. It made me fall in love with who I was. So since cancer, I've stopped relaxing not only my hair, but also my clients' hair. And it's almost like it was an awakening, not just for me, but for my clients too. They were waiting for someone to lead the way. And I led the way. And it's just ever since I've been having success after success after success. So accepting who you are, for me, was the path to where I'm going. And while I'm walking towards that bigger success, or where God wants me to lead, is leading me, I'm taking all these young girls that didn't have someone to tell them, like I didn't, when I was 13, 14, 8, 9, 10, I wish someone, just like I said in the documentary, if someone would have said to me, Nancy, your hair is beautiful. Let me give you some tricks. I'm gonna show you how to enhance it, how to detangle it. Man, imagine what I'd be doing today. I only started to realize that I was fantastic at 36. Imagine if I knew that when I was 12. I would be the Oprah of hair. You know what I mean?
I was about to say, you probably have about 5 or 6 salons by now.
I probably have 15 salons by now. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, better late than never. So my journey is, it took me to lose everything to realize that I already had everything that I needed. I just didn't know how to bring it forward and to embrace it. And I think that my journey is to make sure that the young girls that are coming up, that they get that person that says to them, your crown is wonderful. Don't change it.
So you've probably seen me writing down notes, because that's what we're going to discover, that with each share of the hair journey, so many different things pop up, and so many, as we call, gems in the Clubhouse app. For those who are familiar with that app, it's the audio-based app. You've said so many different things, and I'm probably going to circle back to them, but just thank you for that, because self-acceptance, you talk about that, and I know that a few of our other panelists can probably touch on that as well. Will probably be one of the key things, or themes, if you will, that will pop up in these conversations. So thank you, Nancy. Really appreciate that. I'm going to jump over to Jasai. Want to go ahead and share your hair journey with us?
Yes, got myself unmuted. That was really beautiful, Nancy. And just like Lauren said, the theme of self-acceptance and how self-acceptance became the sort of magical elixir for you is really what my journey looks like as well. So I grew up here in Southern California, in Pasadena, regular old Black girl, got 2 Black parents. Black girl hair was not a problematic thing, as it were, generally, but I was the girl with no edges. And so my whole life, that was a challenge. And I had an aunt who braided hair. And because my aunt braided hair, I wore my hair braided all the time, because that felt more comfortable to me than having my hair out and having no edges. But of course, because I was braiding my hair all the time, the edges became less and less and less viable until I was an adult and because I became good at braiding hair too, because I had this magical aunt, I used to literally fake the braid at the very, very end of my hair, and then braid it with no hair attached to it, and then attach it here. So I was, for 30 years, I spent literally thinking about how to cover my sides because they were bald. That is a lot of energy. a lot of energy. And then I was like, you know what, I'm done. And so on election day, during the second election of President Obama, and I can say this now because he won and we're all happy that he did his time. I did not go and vote. I went and shaved my hair off because I was done. And I told people I voted for me because you have no idea what it feels like inside to always have this tiny, tiny part of your head be the uppermost thing in your mind. It's exhausting for no good reason. And so I went to my little brother, who's a barber, and I had a bunch of hair and just no hair here. And my little brother was like, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, what do you mean you're not doing it? I'm not shaving your hair. I'm not shaving it because I wanted a mohawk like I have now, which is, by the way, very, very cute. And he was like, I'm not doing it. And I said, well, if you don't do it, I will do it. And I'm in a barbershop and that's probably illegal. Could you just cut my hair? And so he did. And then when he had me over the bowl to wash my hair, he said to me, now this is my actual little brother. I've lived with him his whole life until I was grown and gone. He said to me while I was in the bowl, I feel like this is the first time I've ever seen you.
Wow.
And that to me is what that was. Liberating myself from the drama and the trauma of the challenge in my hair really let me become me. And so now I have, at some point, about a year later, I decided I was going to lock my hair because I would see myself in dreams with these really long, beautiful locks. And so 4 years ago, I started to lock my hair. But I loved that me shaving my sides was a liberation. And so I decided I was going to lock my hair and keep my sides shaved. And literally now out in the world as an entrepreneur, as a personality, this hair is how people know me. And I'm free and it's easy. And I think that that's the thing that we have to be able to offer to ourselves. And then we can offer to other people, embracing you and accepting this is hereditary. There's nothing I can do about that. And I was done arguing with myself about it.
Well, okay, so I don't know if anybody else is getting the sense of joy that you are exuding right now by sharing that story, but I see that Joy is over there smiling. I know that I smiled a few times, and I definitely smiled when you talked about your relationship with your brother and how you said that he first didn't want to cut your hair. And then the fact that he had seen you, that's just so relatable, especially for me in my situation, you know, in relationship with my older sister, you know, to be able to watch her go through her journey and to actually see how she started to exude the joy of coming into the acceptance of her own hair, what's hereditary, what you just spoke about, tying it all back into even Nancy and the self-acceptance and self-love, you know, that's, again, I think that brings it all home as to why we're having this conversation today. So thank you, Jasai. And, you know, that's a good segue into Joy, because we're talking about joy, not just Joy the person, but joy as a whole. So Joy, the opportunity now is for you to go ahead and share your journey.
Well, thank you for, inviting me to share. And I've resonated so much with what Nancy and Josiah shared in different ways, because my journey was transformative for me. And I realize now at this point in my life, it is connected directly to my spiritual journey on this planet, in this body that I occupy for my human experience. I don't think I would be who I am right now if I had not actually had the really lack of awareness, and then the traumatic awareness, and then eventually the empowering awareness connected to my hair. I grew up in the South. I grew up to two parents who survived Jim Crow. By the time I came into the world was going into conservative years, right? So growing up, I thought my hair was great. And then all of a sudden, I started getting a lot of weird feedback from people who weren't even doing my hair, because I have a lot of hair. So just to clarify for a second, I have probably about 4 to 5 strands of hair growing out of each follicle on my head. I actually can't make a part most of the time in my hair. And people would see my hair, people that weren't even doing my hair, and it would just be this, like, especially Black people, whoo, oh my goodness, like, oh, what do you do with all that hair? All that hair, oh my God, all that hair, right? And then sometimes my mom, when she would be exasperated, she would be on that all that hair kick, right? And then I, ended up at a predominantly white school, a predominantly white neighborhood. We were the first Black family to move into the neighborhood that I grew up in. And I'm noticing that I'm really one of the only people with my type of hair now at the school. And then I look on TV. No one in the hair commercials has my hair. No one on TV has my hair. When someone that kind of looks like me does show up on TV, I've noticed that the hair is straightened and laid and curled at the ends and has this, like Diane Carroll dynasty thing going. So eventually I catch all the data and the information, the messages from the universe. I'm trying to turn into knowledge, right? So I'm understanding that something is inherently wrong about the way that I'm showing up in the world with this hair. This hair is some sort of Judas. It is betraying me, is keeping me from, like Nancy has said, blending in, right? Being able to go into the world and be somewhat unharassed. And I want to try to figure out how I can, be like everyone else. So now I'm starting to have issues with what I'm seeing in the mirror. And I had issues for a while. And even when I would go and get my hair done, I would get in the chair and start apologizing to the hairstylist that I was going to be paying to do my hair for the trauma that my hair was going to put them through to do it. Because, whoa, all this hair, what you going to do with it? Is the money that I'm giving you even worth it to you? Right? Like, and do I even have enough money to pay you to touch my hair? I started modeling when I was in high school, and I stopped that around the time that I was 20 in a real way, like dropped my agent and everything else, because I would, especially like if I was on a shoot where one of the models was white, they would get 4 different looks with their hair. I would get one. They would basically come to my hair and this is what they would do. And then that was the end, right? If my hair was not straight, no one knew what to do with it. And even if it was straight, maybe I had a hairstylist that knew what to do with it, but most of the time I didn't. So it just was creating more and more trauma. And I kept apologizing for who I innately was and how I was showing up. Until one day in my 30s, I met a hairstylist that was coming into the post office, and she was leaving the post office. She just started talking to me about my hair. And I, of course, started drilling her about what kind of product she used and things like that. And she told me, and I was like, okay, I'll sit down with you. And so, like, we had probably about 3 times, and the third time I was going to see her, she, was asking me how I was doing and whatnot, and I was like, I'm okay, but I've kind of been a little lazy about my hair. I was like, honestly, I'll just tell you. And I said something to her that I'd never admitted out loud to anyone. I said, I feel so alone when I have to do my own hair. Like, that's really when I just feel so completely isolated. And she looked at me and she said, well, baby, that's because you're not supposed to be alone when you do your hair. And I started crying in the chair. And she started talking about the benevolent community that I would have had around me back in the day. All of us taking turns, loving on each other and touching each other's hair, like what we saw in the video with Nancy, right? That touch of someone else, that you don't have to do that Bantu knot by yourself. You don't have to do that braid by yourself. This would have been a moment of love and connection and community and togetherness and ancestors reaching across time and space, embodying the person that is loving upon you to tell you and show you how to take care of each other and grow each other. And it's not this rugged individualism. It is this benevolent togetherness that actually helps you rise more into your power and know that you are not isolated. That was transformative to the whole other level. That was what freed me from that shame that I had been carrying for years, for decades at this point in my life. And so when you came to me with the project, Lawrence, that was the journey that I had up until that moment. I was there in this completely different space that I would have been in 10 years before that, or 15 years before that, or 20 years before that. I'd had all of this journey, and that was what I wanted to help infuse into those pages with those visuals and the words that you had put together and what you today could do, and go about offering this little piece of freeing collective illumination, if you will, to anyone who would hold it and read it, that I wish I had when I was 4 years old, or 7 years old, or 9 years old.
Well, I certainly have all the feels from that share. And I also feel like I want to go ahead and schedule myself an appointment to get my hair done, just for the sake of it, because just everything that you just explained about having, that you're not supposed to do that alone. I don't think I've ever even heard somebody put it in those words before. And I can also relate that, when I'm sitting in the barber chair, how I feel when, my barber is cutting my hair. There's a different feel to it than when I'm just in the bathroom rushing and trying to just get my own hair done. So thank you, Joy. That was beautiful. Really appreciate that. And so that takes us to, oh, go ahead.
I must say something to you, Joy. Man, you're a wonderful soul. When you said that we were not supposed to be alone, it's so, so true. Once upon a time when we were in a place where we were in our true element, it was a community that did each other's hair. And in those workshops that I do with girls, I make it's a must that they touch other girls' hair, because often we don't get to touch other curl patterns. Because when mom does your hair on Sunday, ain't nobody touching your hair for that week. You know what I mean? Because you're going to come home and you're going to get a whooping. Okay? So a lot of times we grow up as young Black women, biracial women. I like to call us spicy flavor. We have so much flavor, flavorful women. And we don't get to touch nobody's hair but our own. If that. So by you saying it's a community that needs to help each other, it would have been great for you to have a community to help you to manage your crown, because I could tell that you have a lot of hair, but it's absolutely luscious. Okay, to me, if you were to sit in my chair, I'd be like, girl, we gonna have fun today. But because we would, it's a task, but it's a wonderful task, especially if you have the right tools. And if you grow up in an environment where people tell you, man, your crown is wonderful. Did you see all this hair you have? Wow. It's not that, oh my God, you have a lot of hair. It's, wow, you have a lot of hair. Come on, let me do something. Let me bring it out. So yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm like, I was sucking up my tears because I'm like, I'm not going to be crying in this video right now. But it's so wonderful what you said. It's true. We need to come collectively together as a I don't know how, but if we could help each other, the ones that do have that volume, if we could have someone that say, you know what, we're going to come together, we're going to do something, we're going to make it an event, we're going to do each other's hair, we're going to exchange recipes, we're going to exchange things. Back in the days, there was so many things that went around hair at the time that we would do each other's hair. We learned so many secrets. So many secrets.
Yes. Well, Nancy,
down to childbirth, sexuality, everything.
Yes.
We don't do that no more.
No.
Anyways, I'm going to shut up, but you're fantastic.
No, you're fine. And I just want to expand on that a little bit and answer your question. My take on it is that we continue to have more conversations like this. That's the first step. It always starts with a conversation. How do we bring everybody together? It's by talking. That's how we start to build this community. And that's why I feel like these hair journey conversations are just so important, and that we have more of them, because you get to connect with people on a completely different level before you even get to the point where you start to touch and feel different textures and all of that. So thank you, everybody, for sharing thus far. And so that takes us to Evita. Hi. What was your hair journey like? What has it been like?
Thank you, everyone. I want to say for sharing. I mean, that really touched my heart, everyone, in terms of family. So I just really want to thank you. And thank you for the opportunity, Lawrence. My hair journey began, I'm going to say, when I was about 8 or 9 years old.
Going to the salon with my mom. And from that point on, I wore my hair straight. Every 2 weeks, we would get our hair straightened at the salon. It kind of became a ritual. We would get our hair curled, but using a curling iron. Never did I really fully add natural hair. I was just so used to going to the salon with my mom. That's how, cold and environmentally, it's just something that I accepted and didn't really think about until 2011. 2011 is when I actually decided, and I fully started embracing my natural hair. I was going to the beauty supply store and looking at Miss Jessie's and looking at social media, and I came across a few curly hair influencers, and just said, you know what, maybe I should try this out, because at that point, starting to break off. It was starting to thin out. It was starting to look unhealthy, because prior to that, before I turned 8 and started going to the salon with my mom, my hair was really thick. I had like beautiful, thick, long hair. And like one of the ladies said, Nancy, if we knew what we knew now then, and if our mothers knew that, or the women around us, I don't know where I would be. I feel like I would be way beyond where I am now in terms of my hair. I am still on my journey. I am still learning how to truly embrace and accept my hair. I love it more now. The fact that I can wear my hair in my tight curls, I can wear it wavy, I can put a little bit of henna in it and make it look, like put a different color, pink, purple, whatever. But I, since 2011, have really not straightened my hair. I've been able to throw away my straighten iron. And in terms of those around me, like when I first told my mom was really excited for me. I think deep down she knew that, the constant straightening of one's hair and, culturally how it just became accepted. I call it a ritual, in a sense, going to the salon and straightening your hair. She really was proud of me that I embraced a part of myself. And another thing is that I want to give credit to my husband as well. Around that time we were dating in 2011, so he loved my natural curls. He really said to me, "Oh, don't straighten you today. I want you to wear your hair natural. It looks really beautiful, and you should be proud of it." So, I want to shout out my husband with that. That the people in your lives can also encourage you to love yourself even more.
That's beautiful. That what you just said. The people in your lives can also encourage you to love yourself, and that is actually a good segue into some individual questions. So a conversation like this obviously can have the tendency to be an all-day conversation, but I know that we don't have all day to really expand on everything. So I'm going to just ask some individual questions per panelist right now, just so that way we can kind of highlight a little bit of your areas of expertise. And so Jasai, after listening to Evita, I really wanted to kind of touch base more on just love and self-acceptance and tie that into waist beating, because before I met you, I didn't know what waist beating was. And so if you can kind of tell us what you love about the art and the practice of waist beating, and how does that help you rediscover your own beauty? I'd love to hear that. You're on mute. I'm sorry.
It's me trying to obey the mute rules. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
Because I always violate the mute rules. So really quick, a waist bead is an ancient African technology, much like this magical hair. It is all at once an adornment a waist and weight management tool, a scale, and a mindfulness tool. So it does a whole lot of everyday things, practical things, really beautifully. I came to love the waist bead for the fact that it dropped me into my being. When it was tied onto my body, it dropped me into my being. Much like the embrace of my hair that day when I shaved it off at my brother's barbershop dropped me into my being. Like when he lifted me up from that chair and I got in the mirror, I was like, that's me. Like, so all of these things in my life, my lot growing literally lives on the timeline of my waist bead business, because all of this journey is a journey about being present to what is exactly as it is without needing it to be different. And it doesn't mean that it can't be different, but the energy of needing something to be other than it is, as we all can tell from these stories, is extraordinarily taxing. It's taxing on our thinking, it's taxing on our energy, it's taxing on our creativity. And I know that not being okay with how my hair was, or not being in embrace of how I might have been in my body in particular kinds of ways, all of those things are detrimental to the magic that is me, that is in me. And so I use waist bead technology to teach women to come closer to themselves, to say yes to themselves, to see themselves in a different way. And I think that when you go on a natural hair journey, I know when I first cut my hair, I became obsessed, like Evita, with the YouTube videos. I was all in the big chop videos, and the thing that stood out to me every single time in every single video is the exact thing my brother said to me. Like, I would see these women with their straight hair or their perm or their whatever, or the weave, and then they would shave their hair off. And I was like, my God, she's beautiful. My God, she is absolutely beautiful. And when I tie waist beads on women of all ages, of all sizes, of all ethnicities, and I turn them around to the mirror and they look at their belly, probably for the first time deliberately, with this waist bead on their waist, I see that same illumination in them. So it's all the same magic for me.
Can I get a waist bead?
You can. You can.
Because I want some of that magic. Again, you exuding joy, and all of you do, but it's just like, I want a piece of that. That's why I feel so honored to be a part of these discussions, because from a male's perspective, I don't have the same, I guess, experiences, if you will. But when I hear how you all have overcome some of these obstacles with your hair, and come to a point in your relationship with your hair where you actually love your hair and love yourselves, it's a reminder for me to also do that for myself, but also want in on it. So, I might call you to try on a waist bead just so that way I can experience that as well. Since we are talking about hair too, though, Nancy, I do want to jump up to you, and, you operate in the salon space. And so can you tell us about just some of the products that you've created or that you use to help your crown stand out and shine?
So it was hard for me to find a product that I thought was as natural as possible. Now, so I created my own. I have different hair products for different issues. So I have products for, I find that women that have curly hair tend to have a lot of dandruff or itchy scalp or buildup, because just exactly that, we use a lot of the wrong products. And there's always a trend. If cocoa's in style, everybody's throwing cocoa in their products. If argan's in style, argan's the magic thing, shea. But not every hair type needs shea. Not every hair type needs cocoa or avocado, or argan. So I wanted to have a product that I can, that I can address different issues for different hair patterns. So I created my own. So I have different things. I have things for people that have hair that falls out, or after chemo or after pregnancy, that needs to come and, fortify the hair. I have a line for people that, like I was saying, that have either itchy scalp or accumulation of products or dandruff. I have a kids line. I have the Tropical Glow, which is the most nourishing one. So it's going to be for the thicker crown, the tighter curl pattern crown, I like to call it. And it's hard to find something that is going to cater to our needs without making it too heavy. And also, I wanted it to be Black owned. You know, I want to be proud to sell my products, and I want it to be that I made it not just, oh, it's the trend and let me jump on the paddy wagon and make money off of this. Of course, I want to make money off of selling my products, because if I wouldn't, then I wouldn't be a good, businesswoman. But I want to also just keep my Black queens healthy, because I don't want to just put any and everything in their hair. And I want to give them something that's specific from someone who's a professional. You were saying, I think it was you, Josiah, that you were saying, no, it was you, Aviva, right? Evita or Aviva?
Evita.
Evita, sorry. You said that you did a lot of search. You did a lot of searching on online and YouTube and all these things. And that aggravates me because, the YouTube girl that's telling you things, she's only an expert in her hair. An expert is someone that does many different textures or many different types of skins or whatever. That's an expert. Someone who does their hair on a video, she's only good at doing her hair. So when she's talking to you about a product, she only speaks about one product that does one specific thing for her hair. So I needed to create something that it could address many different issues for many different curl patterns and thickness and length. So I created my own, and it's doing really, really well. And it's, I would say, probably 95% all natural. So we have to, we want to be beautiful, but can we be healthy? We have so many things going on with Black women's health right now. Whenever we get a cancer, we always get the worst kind. And I really think that it has a lot to do with our environment, the way we eat, our stress levels, what we do to our hair, how we're not taking seriously in the workforce. So when we do have an illness, we're kind of pushed it aside. So we live a lot of stress. And if we can do these little things, I'm not saying everybody should be like, peace and love and grow their hair and don't shave and don't use any kind of chemical at all. But if we could be choosy a little bit of what we put, if we could reduce 20% of the chemicals that we use on our bodies, it's a fantastic thing. So I created some products that is as natural as possible. And by the way, women, we use on average a day, 500 different chemicals in a day. From the moment we step foot off the bed and we take a shower to the moment we go to bed, we use about 500 different products, chemical products. So in mine, if you're washing your hair, you use a whole lot less that day.
See, this is why we have you as the expert to talk about hair and products, because you just talked about experts. But then I remember hearing in this in a similar conversation that skincare is hair care, because hair is an extension of who we are. And so when you talk about the chemicals and using more natural products, it's like, would you put a whole bunch of chemicals on your own skin? And if not, then why would you put chemicals that are damaging to your hair on your hair? So I'd like to ask, where can we get your products? Since you are a business.
You could get them on my website. I have them in New York City also. I have a salon that carries them in New York City. And I have them a little bit all over the world. I have them in Switzerland and Tunisia. But if you're in LA and you want to get them, we'll ship them to you. It'll be my pleasure. So on my website at www.nancyfalaise.com, you can just go on the online store and you'll see them. And to go back to what you said about skincare, when you wash your hair, if you're not in a salon, you're washing your hair in the shower, all those chemicals are going into your skin, right? And when you're in your shower and it's hot and your pores are open, so there's more room when your pores are open to absorb those chemicals. So sometimes women will have skin problems and they don't know why all of a sudden they have all these pimples popping up. And it's usually because they changed their hair shampoo and they're using something that inside of that, there's a chemical that doesn't agree with their skin. So when you use shampoo and you use all these products, take 2 seconds, read the ingredients, because you're actually, your skin is the biggest way to let anything in, because we're made of skin. So it's seeping through all your pores.
Wow.
So we have to be careful.
And also your hair is a huge indicator of if something's going on the inside. You know, if you start to get stressed, you know, your hair may start to fall out and things like
Yep.
that. So,
and you know that the relaxer is one more thing. Sorry, I'm passionate.
No, go ahead.
You know that relaxer is the only chemical that the doctor will tell you not to use while you're pregnant. He will tell you, do not do perms or relaxers while you're pregnant.
So on that note, I'm over here just writing down. So we're going to keep the conversation going on with Joy. Joy, when you were doing your share earlier, you were talking a little bit about media, and obviously that is a huge part of just you as a professional and just the space that you operate in. And so I'm interested to know, like, in what ways in today, because you talked about just even, you know, generations back that you didn't really have any sort of like representation, or when you saw somebody that looked like you know, their hair was different. So what ways is media becoming more culturally understanding and conscious of women of color and their hair?
Well, I need to back up and kind of answer that question differently. Media is finding itself producing more content because Black and Brown people who have their stories and understanding are getting into media and creating space within it. You know, media is a primary social institution. And like most social institutions in the United States in particular, it has been impacted by white supremacy ideology. So it is baked into the system, is baked into the stories that get told, is baked into who gets centered and who does not get centered. It's always there. And even as I was telling my story, my journey has been one of anti-oppression work within myself. I was oppressing myself through the media images I was consuming were feeding into my oppression of myself through my own hair and how I looked at it. So when you have storytellers, and a lot of them have done it independently, but then there's also been people like Shonda Rhimes, who is able to do it from, you know, a franchise, you know, actually, you know, enterprise, big business, you know, sense of a situation. Matthew Cherry was, you know, able to do his film, you know, this, but then there's also things like Crown Magazine, which is, you know, an independent endeavor. Like, it's a combination of these different storytellers coming into the space and saying, we're going to tell the story of our bodies and our journey as if there is no committee. And that's how you start to see these stories come to life. And that's why, you know, you'll be able to see now different things going on. And then on top of that too, there's a lot of money in the community. We spend a lot of money on hair care, you know, so there's also the need to go ahead and be marketing to people who are spending money on their hair care. But just like Nancy was saying too, there is a lot of things out there that have carcinogens in them. You know, so there's also the need for the news media to be talking about what's going on with that and asking questions about why are so many, you know, Black women having fibroids and things of that nature. And so it's kind of all connected, but the more that independent storytellers or independent minded storytellers can get into the space and start to create media just like you did with the book, Lawrence, that's what starts to change the landscape of this primary social institution that, just like family, just like religion, just like politics, just like education, informs how you look at yourself and the world around you and how you're going to go up showing up socially within your environment. And that is a part of the function that media serves. Media is what we seek to get information about the world and about ourselves. So it is important to just approach this with this audacious belief that we need to show people themselves and they can see themselves reflected back. They can see a truth reflected back as opposed to a stereotype. You know, so it has been this independent spirit of storytelling that has expanded the landscape. Social media has, you know, played into that too. Because the more that even the, Nancy brought up a great point that like, yeah, the person on YouTube knows their hair, but the fact that they're there and taking up space and the algorithm is having to acknowledge that they're getting thousands, if not millions of views on their content starts to change the conversation around the economy that forms around the story. And this is what I want to wrap up with, because this is really the thing. Stories have an economy. Whether that story is really uplifting to people and empowering to people, or it is decimating to people and disempowering to people, it has an economy. Once money gets infused into it and people see that it is a source of revenue and possible abundance, then stakeholders actually start to become involved to keep it flourishing, because it is now entrepreneurial for them. It's a way for them to sell a script, get a movie greenlit, get a TV show on, get a magazine sold, get a book sold, the whole thing. So stories have economies around them. And until these more independent voices come into the fray and show that there are benevolent stories that can form economies around them, that's what starts to move that energy from these decimating, disempowering, dehumanizing stories that had economy formed around them. So that's the way that media interacts with this and these narratives and these anecdotal moments within us that we know are not just anecdotal, they're actually collective, even though we're all having our own different journeys. It's the same starting point for us because there was something in the outside world telling us that something was not right about the way we innately showed up in the world. And our media and our storytelling through the media, these narratives is part of how we do that anti-oppression work together.
Absolutely. And I feel like that ties also back to community and the question that Nancy posed earlier, like how do we do this together? And it is through storytelling, and I laugh too when you share, because stories, have an economy. You and I both work in the Hollywood space. And so we know how that game works. The more independent stories we begin to see, and they start to see that it's starting to make some money for them, as you said, the stakeholders, and all of a sudden it becomes a full machine, if you will. But that's why, I want to take this question over to Evita, because Evita, you are a blogger. And so from one storyteller to the next, I can remember that my stepmom had me writing poems when I was a kid. And my mom was always feeding me books to read and things like that. It's always been just a big part of my background. I'm really interested, for you to tell us a bit about your stories and poetry that you write, and some of the key themes that you write or that show up in your blog. Do you have any favorite ones that come to mind?
Absolutely. So I am the author of The Girls, which is my first children's book, and Spanish. The idea for me to write the book came about in 2014. The book was published in 2018, but the birth began in 2014. At that time, it was my second year into my natural hair journey, and my daughter was about 2 years old. And I came across the Dove Love Your Curls campaign commercial. And in the commercial, they interview little girls who are talking about how they feel about their natural curls. Majority of the girls felt like they wanted straight hair. They either had a mother that had straight hair, or they just didn't have that female figure life that was embracing their natural hair. So a lot of the little girls were describing displeasures and, oh, I wish my hair was straight, and just everything that they were saying. At one, I had felt. I was that 7-year-old. So I was moved by the commercial, and I looked at my daughter and I said, we don't have enough books, representation in the media to express, hey, I'm going to go on a journey and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to show up and create that model for myself, someone else, to look up to. So I decided to write the story, write several drafts. I finally found a wonderful illustrator who was actually based in California, Sacramento area. And, it came to life from there. And during that time, I was already pretty much involved in the community, was DMing influencers, and then not even just influencers, but DMing ladies who were also on their own journey, and sharing my book and sharing my ideas and getting feedback. So that has been my big. I'm just very fortunate to be the producer of a book for girls to love their curls and love their natural hair, and something where little girls can say, inspired by this, my curls are magical. So that is, that has been my baby. And, prior to that, growing up, there were no books out there. There was no, at least for me, things that I could look up to, people that I could really look up to. As like you ladies said, all the images on table, but her hair is straight. That must be the norm, must be what's beautiful, because our society has also taught us that subconsciously. So that was my experience.
Well, I'm proud of you. I mean, I know that it feels weird to say that, but just know that it comes from the heart, because to be able to write something and to release it to the world, from a creative standpoint, that can be a very vulnerable move. At least I know it was for me. And so, for you to take that upon yourself and to do something for your daughter and to do something that you can share with the world, I mean, that's huge. So, if you haven't pat yourself on the back already for being a published author, please do so. And also, where can we get your books?
The Girl with the Magical Curls is available on Amazon, Noble, and I also sell signed copies on my web, which is curlyvita.com. Also want to mention that my blog, curlyvita.com, is a lifestyle blog. So you could find on there about hair, self-acceptance, and I also talk about my hair journey as well.
Cool. I'm gonna definitely go ahead and get myself a copy and add that to my library. So before we bring Kim back, because I believe we still have a little bit of time for some Q&A, I just want to end with a two-part question for all of you. So first part is, what do you love about your hair? And the second part is, do you have any words of encouragement or anything that you'd like to say for the younger generations of queens, as far as, loving their hair and loving themselves? So whoever wants to take that first. What do you love about your hair? And what do you have to say to the younger queens? Joy, I'll throw that over to you. All
this hair. I love the existence of it. And I did not before. I love that it actually exists and it is with me and it has journeyed with me and it has so much flexibility to it. There's so many things that I can do. It's actually not a narrow existence. My hair gives me a very broad experience and I really appreciate it. And if I say any advice, don't worry about your hair taking up space in this world. I've actually gotten to the point now where I'm almost kind of rude. I don't care if people behind me can even see past me. So, it's a very empowering thing to just allow yourself to take up space. You have a body for a reason and you are supposed to take up space in this world. And that is part of what I found transformative for me within my journey. You're not supposed to shrink. You're not supposed to, shy away unless you want to, but you're not supposed to do that because you feel pressurized by the environment around you to do that.
So it's okay to take up space. I love that. Jasai, what do you love about your hair? And what do you have to say to these younger queens?
I love that my hair finally feels like my hair. It is growing out of my hair in exactly the way God intended it to grow out of my hair without me interfering with it at all. And I love that I finally get a chance to experience that. When I was younger, I would get my hair pressed and curled and permed and the whole thing. And now I don't have to do anything. I don't have to spend any of this energy that I need for so many other things on this hair. And even though I tighten it up If I don't tighten it up, I love it all the same. Like I love everything that it does naturally. And I would say to young women that whatever your hair is doing, in return, just give love to it. Well, however it is being at the moment, hair, like everything living, changes. Like it just changes. And so it can be like this one day, and then a whole nother thing another day, or gone the next day. Or so really being with it like you're with a being is an important thing. To just be present and accepting and loving of your hair where it is in the moment is a useful, I think, a skill set and energy to build up in you.
That's beautiful. And I feel like that also speaks to what you like to focus on, which is mindfulness, being mindful of your hair and who you are, where you are, being present. So that is dope. I love that. Nancy, what do you love about your hair? And what do you have to say to these young queens?
What I love the most about my hair is that I could do so many different things with it. So many. I can go from short, straight braids. I could be a different person every week if I choose to. And you know, when I rocked my hair straight, when I would straighten it, I could only wear it straight. Now that I wear it curly, I could wear it up, down. I could do twists. I could do twist updos. I could do so many different things. Like my crown has different jewels every other week. That's how I see it. And if I had an advice to say to my young queens, I would say, well, have fun with your crown. Experiment. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to touch and manipulate your hair and try different hairstyles. And it's with trials and errors. You know, you're going to find what works for you if you keep trying. So take advantage of the fact that your hair is so malleable. How would I say that in English? That it's so, you could do so many different things with it. So just have fun. Have fun with your hair.
You can also say your hair is like magic, which is what I say in the poem, My Dear Queen.
Exactly, it's like magic. You know what? That's it. I'm gonna have to take that saying from you. Your hair is like magic, and it could, you know, depending on how you place your wand, and that wand could be your comb. You could do many different things to your crown.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Nancy. And then, Evita, what do you love about your hair, and what do you have to say to these young queens?
I love that my hair finally feels healthy. So I love how healthy it is, finally. It was a journey and took a long time for me to finally accept that since, 2011, but it is healthy. I love that my hair is soft, and like Nancy said, I can wear protective style. I could wear it in braids. I could wear it pulled up in a bun. I could wear it out, whichever way. And that's what I would say to young, first and foremost, magical, and your hair is magical.
Absolutely. It's a great way to end this. Thank you all for being here, for sharing just your journeys, who you are. I really, really appreciate this. I've gone through so many different emotions. I've gone through ups and downs, just listening to everything, laughter and love and all of that. So again, I'm inspired. I'm always inspired at the end of these types of conversations and throughout these conversations. And I feel like I'm inspired to even write some more just because of all the notes that I've taken. I feel like there's just endless possibilities for what we can continue to have these types of conversations about. So Kim is back to handle a little bit of some Q&A. But before I stop talking, if you haven't picked up a copy of My Dear Queen, you can definitely do so at mydearqueen.com. It's available on Amazon. Also, go ahead and follow My Dear Queen book on Instagram and be on the lookout for, and there's going to be a link in the bio where you can also support the artist Yetunde Sap, because she's still in school, and school is expensive and school supplies are expensive. So we will have a GoFundMe up there. Feel free to share the link. Feel free to, donate if you can to continue supporting. But thank you all in the audience who's been watching and listening today. Thank you to you beautiful panelists. I'd love to bring you all back for another conversation if we can. So be on the lookout for that. So thank you so much. And Kim, the mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you, ladies. I was not visible, but I was like dancing and cheering and just so excited to hear everything that you guys were saying. It resonated with me so much, and it resonated with our audience. I can see all the comments. I just want to read a couple of them because I think, you guys need to see the impact that you're having. Someone says, I'm reminded of all the times I brought wigs and my own makeup to shoots. I resonate with only getting one look. I thought that was normal for so long. So Joy, someone really resonated what you were saying. Thank you so much. I needed to hear this, not just for me, but for my daughter as well. We all have natural hair, and I'm always struggling to do our hair. Jasai, someone commented that they struggled with their edges as well, and hearing your perspective on that gave them life. And then we have a question for Nancy. Nancy, how do I know which hair products work best for my kids' hair? They have thick, natural 4C type of hair that is hard to detangle.
Okay. So, I always say that the best way to know if a product works for you is that you don't need a lot. Good hair product is like good olive oil. When you take that cheap olive oil, you have to put so much for it to taste. But if you have that good olive oil, you put a little bit and the flavor is wonderful. And it's the same thing for hair. If you feel like you have to put half the bottle of conditioner to detangle the hair, it's definitely not moisturizing enough. And read the ingredients. Know the difference between protein oils and hydration oils. So if something has cocoa or argan, it's not for your children's hair if it's natural, if it has never been, that's never had chemicals. Okay, so you want to go for something that has more like avocado or sweet almond or jojoba. So read the ingredients, and you could also go, if you want, if you go on my Instagram page, and you could inbox me and you could send me some pictures of your daughter's hair. It'd be my pleasure for me to tell you what I think would work. And I could just see and imagine the feel of their hair.
Thank you. Thank you for that generous offer. And I know you do Instagram live demos as well, which I have been watching and enjoyed greatly. So I invite our audience to follow Nancy's Instagram lives and learn new things about your hair. Just seeing if there's any other questions that came in. I think that's it for questions. Lawrence, do you want to say any closing remarks?
Just be magical. That's the only thing I can think of. Wear your hair like magic, be magic, celebrate who you are. Thank you all. Thank you everybody for being here today, for sharing and for watching. And I look forward to connecting with you all in the near future again. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just echo those sentiments. I think it's amazing that we can do this in a virtual space. I know that if we were in a real space, you guys would see everybody else just nodding and agreeing and clapping with everything that has been said today. I also just wanted to, thank Lawrence and the panelists for doing this. It's amazing. I'm so glad I got to witness it. And then to let our audience know that if anybody wants more information about any of our panelists, that information has been put into the comment section. So please follow them on Instagram, on Twitter, go to their website, buy Nancy's products, get some waist beads from Jasai. And then if you'd like to know more about being a part of Aviva, volunteering or learning more about the services we offer, you can find us at aviva.org, or you can find us on Instagram at Aviva SoCal. So thank you all for being a part of this magical event. I wish this conversation could go on all day. I feel like, there's a million questions I have. Personally, I know Nancy's probably, getting ready for bed in her time zone, but thank you all for being here today. And thank you, audience, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to all the lovely ladies and Lawrence and that were with me today doing this thing, I just want to say you guys are all fabulous.
Really.
You really are.
Like,
This is such a powerful,
fantastic.
amazing
It's
panel.
such a pleasure to share a platform with queens, and you guys are all
Yeah.
queens and kings.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Nancy.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.